Buterin is initially concerned that miners would not be sufficiently motivated by fees alone to help safeguard the network, which according to his estimates may be worth trillions of dollars in the future. Consider that there will be no Bitcoin to pay transactions and block validators until the final Bitcoin is produced and the fees are distributed, miners. Buterin contends that Bitcoin fees will not produce sufficient cash to support the network. Before we begin, like and share the video and subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel. Let's start. Before going into detail about Buterin's concerns, let's see what's going on in the market. Payroll increase. Bureau of Labor stats revealed a considerable increase of 3.7% in the unemployment rate as more people return to work. According to the stats by the Bureau of Labor, while the economy as a whole slowed in August, non-farm payrolls increased significantly, and the unemployment rate climbed as more people entered the labor force. Last month, the economy created 315,000 jobs, somewhat fewer than the Dow Jones forecast of 318,000. Unanticipated that the unemployment rate would increase by 0.2 of a percentage point from 3.5% to 3.7%. Wages increased once again, but not as much as anticipated. The average hourly wage climbed 0.3% from the previous month and 5.2% from the previous year, which was 0.1 percentage points less than anticipated. G7 countries impose price cap. The G7 has decided to freeze the price of Russian crude oil to prevent the Kremlin from using oil revenues to finance its military aspirations. The finance ministers of the United Kingdom, the United States, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and Canada have agreed to cap the Russian oil price. The idea would limit how much corporations may charge G7 or EU consumers for transporting Russian oil. The ban will go into effect on December 5 for crude oil and February 5 for refined products such as diesel, the dates on which the EU proposes to enforce oil embargoes against Russia. No agreement has been reached on the maximum amount permitted for the cap. The decision was made when Nadym Zahawi met with Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary of the United States, in Washington earlier this week, according to the British Chancellor. To paraphrase what he said, "We will restrict Putin's ability to fund his war via oil exports by prohibiting services like insurance and the provision of credit to ships transporting Russian oil beyond the agreed-upon price limitation. We are united in condemning this cruel act and will do all our power to aid Ukraine in its quest for self-determination and more fair society." According to Yellen, the measure will be applied in the next weeks. It would be a massive blow to Russian finances and would hinder Russia's ability to prosecute its unjustified war in Ukraine. She also asserts that this would avoid future price spikes caused by global disruptions and aid in the victory against inflation. Oil exports account for 14% of Russia's federal taxable income. In a statement released on Friday, the Kremlin said that Russia would cease oil supplies to nations that put price caps on Russian energy. Dmitry Peskov, the spokesman for the Kremlin, has issued the following warning. Companies who impose a price ceiling will not benefit from Russian oil. Death of Ravil Maganov. Ravil Maganov, the CEO of Russia's most significant oil business, died abruptly in a Moscow hospital on what seems to be the sixth death among Russia's top energy executives in 2022. On Thursday, the Russian news agency Interfax reported that Maganov had died after falling from a window at Moscow's Central Clinical Hospital. Two unidentified sources informed Reuters that Maganov had died. The oil corporation and its chairman stated on March 3, condemning the violence in Ukraine. Maganov died at the age of 67, according to a press release from the firm he helped build, Lukoil. The Russian embassy in Washington did not respond to CNBC's request for comment on the death of Maganov. According to Russian and foreign news outlets, 7 other prominent Russian energy executives have died suddenly since January, fueling speculation that something criminal may have been involved in Maganov's untimely demise. Eurozone inflation. Following these estimates, the annual inflation rate in the euro area increased to 9.1% in August 2022, up from 8.9% in July, above market expectations of 9%. Rising energy costs, 38.3% versus 39.6%, and food prices, 10.6% versus 9.6%, have led to the highest recorded inflation rate. The inflation rate for services was more significant than for non-energy industrial products by 3.7 percentage points. The rate for non-energy industrial items was lower, 5 percentage points versus 45 percentage points. Excluding the energy costs, inflation rises to 5.8% from 5.4% in July, excluding food, alcohol, and cigarettes. Inflation rises to 4.3% from 4% in July. The Consumer Price Index increased by 0.5% compared to the previous month. Platform for Cross-Border Cbdc Transactions. The director and division head of the IMF's Monetary and Capital Markets Department are drafting a report outlining the architecture of a platform that would facilitate Cbdc clearing and settlement transactions across several nations. Tobias Adrian and Tommaso Mancini Griffoli claim in the most recent issue of the organization's quarterly magazine that the platform would contain a standardized settlement mechanism and a standardized programming language for building smart contracts. According to the publication, public and private companies will access the platform. As stated by Adrian and Mancini Griffoli, the International Monetary Fund is an excellent place to begin investigating these possibilities due to its global membership, but the challenge will be to identify the appropriate governance structures and to mobilize a sufficient number of central banks to carry this out. The Bank for International Settlements, like the International Monetary Fund, has engaged in multinational Cbdc activities. The bridge project connects Hong Kong, Thailand, mainland China, and the United Arab Emirates, and the Project Dunbar Plan, which connects Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, and South Africa, are two examples. According to the Atlantic Council, 105 nations considered establishing a Cbdc in 2015. Custom virtual reality chips. Qualcomm Inc., QCOM.O, and Meta Platforms Inc., Memixeta.O, announced on 2 September at a consumer electronics show in Berlin that they had agreed for Qualcomm to provide custom chipsets for Meta's Quest VR devices. The two firms have stated that their respective technical and product teams would collaborate on producing processors that use Qualcomm's Snapdragon platforms. As shown by the arrangement, despite its efforts to develop bespoke silicon for its virtual, augmented, and mixed reality products, Meta, formerly known as Facebook, is dependent on Qualcomm's technology. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, linked the development of virtual reality headsets to the discovery of mobile phones in a video message, noting the new multidimensional challenges in spatial computing, cost, and form factor VR headset development poses. "We are still in the stage of infancy of the metaverse," he added. This kind of technology integration will enable VR evolve into a versatile computing platform. Meta has made substantial investments in technology such as pass-through goggles and augmented reality glasses to realize Zuckerberg's vision of the metaverse, a linked network of virtual spaces. Buterin's concern about Bitcoin's security. In an interview published with former Bloomberg reporter Noah Smith, Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin voiced two worries about Bitcoin's long-term security. Buterin is initially concerned that miners would not be sufficiently motivated by fees alone to help safeguard the network, which, according to his estimates, may be worth trillions of dollars in the future. Consider that there will be no Bitcoin to pay transactions and block validators until the final Bitcoin is produced and the fees are distributed miners. Buterin contends that Bitcoin fees will not produce sufficient cash to support the network. Initially, Bitcoin's long-term security depended only on transaction fees, but the cryptocurrency is now failing to earn enough cash from these sources to sufficiently defend a system that may one day be worth trillions of dollars. Buterin estimated in an email interview that Bitcoin transactions cost around $300,000 daily. In the last 5 years, these prices have hardly increased. Buterin criticizes the security of the proof-of-work (POW) consensus technique. Buterin claims proof-of-stake offers more security for Bitcoin transactions than the typical proof-of-work approach (POS). In the future, when there is around $5 trillion in Bitcoin, the Ethereum designer estimates that an assault on the system would need just $5 billion in Bitcoin. Since neither miners nor maximalists are interested in adopting POS, Buterin considers this a severe issue. Second concern. Second, proof of labor offers far less security per dollar spent on transaction fees, while switching to proof of stake is politically impossible. What would be the future if there were $5 trillion worth of Bitcoin, but it only costs $5 billion to assault the chain? Nonetheless, I anticipate the transition to at least hybrid proof of stake to be difficult, even if the political desire to do so arises rapidly if Bitcoin is seriously assaulted. To quote Buterin, "About 2 weeks from now, the proof-of-work system will be replaced with the proof-of-stake method on the Ethereum network that Buterin invented." The next update, the merge, is anticipated to be released between September 10 and 20. It may reduce the strain on Ethereum's network power supply. Proof-of-stake book. Notably, in around 1 month, Buterin will publish a book named Proof of Stake that will encompass his efforts as the creator of Ethereum during the last decade. The transition to POS has not been universally welcomed. For example, a group of miners advocates for a proof-of-work (POW) hard fork of the Ethereum network. However, it is logical that some users might be concerned about censorship throughout the migration process. According to Buterin, cryptocurrency may vanish or completely take over the world in the future. Still, it also has the potential to replace gold as a store of value and become the Linux of finance. Despite the recent market drop, Bitstamp's study reveals that investor confidence in cryptocurrencies remains high. Bitstamp Trade commissioned research to examine whether or not investor confidence has been damaged by the current cryptocurrency winter. Despite the recent market decline, Bitstamp's most recent Crypto Pulse poll indicates that trust in Bitcoin, BTC, and other cryptocurrencies remains strong. According to Bitstamp, the study was done by an independent research firm based on a survey of 28,000 institutional and retail investors from 23 countries. According to data gathered during the first and second quarters of 2022, the percentage of global retail traders who regard cryptocurrencies as trustworthy fell from 61% to 65%, with 67% of respondents believing cryptocurrencies in quarter 2, compared to 70% in quarter 1. The poll revealed that institutional investors also see a shift. Even though we have been experiencing a crypto winter in the first quarter, Bitstamp deems these results positive and indicative of the industry's resiliency. Okay guys, these are all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. If you think this video was helpful, please let us know in the comments below.